Well, I'm Dad, or other people know me as Johnny Ongley, and some people might know me as Benedict Garrett, but that's supposed to be a secret. So shh. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, so that's who I am. Well, the last week I was in Birmingham for the I was at a hearing for the General Teaching Council. So I was a teacher, and I was sacked. And the General Teaching Council is the organisation that you have to be registered with if you want to be a teacher in this country. And if you get sacked, the General Teaching Council has to consider whether or not they're going to keep you on the register. Now, I was sacked for a few things, and one of the main things I was sacked for was because I work in adult entertainment, doing a couple of things, and they decided, after I defended myself and represented my point of view by myself. I didn't have a lawyer or a union representative, and the General Teaching Council decided that I could remain as a teacher, but after a 2-year reprimand, basically, which obviously has upset some people. Some people are very angry. They're saying he shouldn't be allowed to be a teacher. This is disgraceful. There's no way this man should be able to teach anybody's children. And then other people have said, on the other extreme, have said, why is he even being punished at all? What does it matter? It's his private life. Doesn't affect his teaching. And then some people are, somewhere in between. So I've been in lots of newspapers, on lots of radio shows. I did television and in This Morning, and I've been on radio shows and newspapers around the world as well. So it's all gone a little bit crazy, all because of the 2 jobs, or the 3 jobs that I had. Well, last year when I was sacked, I went on to Spanish television, on La Noria, on Telecinco, which is national television, and I had to speak in Spanish as well, which was more nerve-wracking than actually having to strip live on the show. And then earlier this year I did the BBC, I did the Big Questions. I did the Sunday morning show, and then yesterday I most recently was on ITV1's This Morning, which is like a mid-morning show in the United Kingdom. It's a national television show, and I was being interviewed by Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby, not Wallaby, because I accidentally called her Wallaby. But yeah, I was being interviewed by them, and then lots of radio stations. I've done BBC Radio 4, it's a This Day programme, Radio 5, Nicky Campbell, BBC Radio London with Vanessa Feltz, Radio Manchester, BBC Radio Berkshire. We're doing Oxford tomorrow, and today I was called by a radio station in Colombia, out of the blue, and I suddenly had a half-an-hour interview with them. And I did a radio station in South Africa yesterday. So yeah, I've done quite a few things, and I've written a column for the Guardian, and obviously been quite a few of the papers as well. So yeah. Well, we've still got our house in London, haven't we? We still go to London sometimes, and I do. And but why have we moved up to this area? We live up near Manchester now. It's because Simmy, which is our dog, she asked us. She wanted to move, so we tend to do what she says, don't we, Simmy? No, actually, no, it's not because of her. Actually, it's mainly because of you, young man. Because you've had this obsession with Manchester, don't you? No, it was really for you and for you to carry on with your education. But I also thought I didn't really know Manchester, but when you suggested it, we came up for a couple of trips, didn't we? And I actually quite liked it. And I thought it seemed like it was a good point in my life to have a change in my life. I've been in London for a while, but I also knew that I'd keep my house down there, so I still have my link down there. And actually, I've been down to London every single week since I've been up here, and it's good. It's a nice mix between countryside. You've got the Peak District, you've got Manchester, which is one of the largest cities in this country, just 20 minutes away. And I think you like it here, don't you? You're happy?
Yeah.
It rains an awful lot, which is a bit depressing, but it's fine, and she loves it. She's going a bit crazy over there. Probably sick. Simmy! It's killing the meerkat. So yeah, that's why we're up here in near Manchester. What jobs? Well, so far the only jobs I've done there is I worked for Manchester Pride, and I worked in some of the clubs over the Pride weekend. But I am doing some stripping over the next few days in Manchester and the area. Also in Liverpool, I'm doing that as well. I've never been to Liverpool in my life, so that'll be fun. hopefully there'll be more work coming up in the future in relation to that. And we haven't been into Manchester an awful lot since we've been here. We kind of live on the edge of Manchester, so we've been in a few times, but there's a lot more still for us to discover, I think. And we've been into the Peak District a few times. That's lovely, having that just on our doorstep. So yes, it's good, and it's nice in many ways because it's like London in terms of it's still quite cosmopolitan. There's lots of different different people, and there's some amazing architecture, modern and older stuff downtown. So it's good, but things are a lot cheaper, which is even more of an advantage, including living costs, accommodation, that sort of stuff. So it's got the best of both worlds, really. It's just not brilliant with the weather, although we've had some sunny days as well, haven't we? So am I gay? Well, I get asked that an awful lot. Because you're 17, young man, I don't want to say too much, but the only porn that I've done is straight porn, and I would say I'm straight, really, but I don't like pigeonholing. I don't think people should have to define their sexuality. I'm not comfortable with it. I just think human beings are human beings. In fact, when I was at school and actually kids did ask me, this is what I'd tell them. I say, look, at the moment, at this point in my life, I prefer having relationships or some kind of bond, a sexual bond with women. There's nothing to say that at some point in my life I would ever rule out if I've met such an amazing person and we got on so well that I got really close to them and wanted to explore other things, but they happen to be a man. It's then I would overcome that hurdle. But it's not something sexually that I particularly think about doing or enjoy. It's on the whole, I would describe myself as straight, but I don't like the pigeonholing. I don't like anybody. I wouldn't call myself straight. I wouldn't call myself gay. I wouldn't call myself bisexual. I just think we're human and we're sexual beings. But most people aren't comfortable with that. Most people say, "Oh no, I'm straight," or "No, I'm gay. I couldn't be either," because of pressures. Well, not really pressures in terms of being gay, but if you're confident enough to come out and say that you're gay, then obviously you veer towards that side of the spectrum. But most people, by default, say they're straight unless they're gay. And why do they say that? Often they feel they have to say that because of religious pressures, because of society's pressures. Because if you do anything that's in any way associated with being feminine or being gay in some way, it supposedly demeans you as a man. Makes you less of a man. Apparently, I don't agree with that. But you'll notice that in societies which are far more open, societies which are much more liberal, there's a higher rate of, for want of a better term, bisexuals. And why is that? Because they're able to explore their sexuality far more than in countries which are far more closed and repressed, and where there's where you get punished for being homosexual or for being bisexual or doing anything of a homosexual nature. So, does that answer your question? Right, so I tried to do it every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but it's been a bit difficult recently because I've been all over the country, in Birmingham, in London, and been doing various interviews and that sort of stuff. But most Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays I present the Johnny Ongley Show, which you can listen to live. It's broadcast live on the internet via a server called Spreaker. From 10 o'clock UK time to midnight normally. Sometimes we have an extended episodes as well. And it's a talk show, so and you can phone in, you can text in, and we talk about all sorts of topics. The rule is that nothing is taboo. So we talk about anything. We talk about it in a respectful way. We try to be, there's some comedy, there's some humour, but we try to be respectful when we talk about it. But nothing is taboo, so we're prepared to talk about anything. And obviously we do talk about some things to do with sex and sexuality and some issues to do with the porn industry as well, because that's stuff I've kind of become known for. But we talk about other stuff as well, other kind of topical issues. We talk about stuff to do with religion, stuff to do with health, stuff to do with politics. So we talk about all sorts of stuff, and most importantly, it's about you. So if you're listening and you want to change the topic or you want to suggest something before any of the shows, you can email in and suggest the topics as well. So that's what the show is, and that's when I have it. And it's always been kind of a dream of mine to have my own radio talk show. And I suddenly realised you can do it yourself. So why wait to try and get a job on a radio station? Why don't you start your own? So I have. Do I miss school? I really do miss school. I say that because there's some aspects of school that I don't miss in relation to, well, mainly in relation to the increased kind of rules and regulations and policies and issues to do with the actual work itself. But I used to love actually teaching, being in the classroom and teaching, and I used to love working with the young people as well. I mean, you're from London, you know that London kids aren't always the best behaved, and often when I said I work in London school, people are like, oh, how could you work in that? That's, you know, I would bite off my right arm before I work in a London school. But I loved it. I loved working with all sorts of kids, and actually such kids sometimes who perhaps weren't as well behaved as other kids. I like the challenge of those kids because there's no such thing as a bad kid. Sometimes you just have to get to know kids sometimes. So I like the challenge, and yes, I desperately miss it. I miss all the students, and I miss you know, the vast majority of members of staff as well. I mean, the sad thing is that the school has pretty much told all the members of staff that they're not supposed to talk with me, and they've also tried to stop students speaking with me as well. But we do keep in touch. A lot of the students and some members of staff and even some parents, but it's not the same as, you know, going to school and seeing them every day and interacting with them and working off each other and so yeah, I do miss it, but it's nice to have the link with you now. Obviously you're one of my ex-students, so it's great to have you in my life, so we can share memories and look back fondly, can't we? Now, my son, he's recently started college up here, and I know that a lot of my my ex-students, well, they'll always be my students really. They'll always be part of my family in many ways. But they're starting back at school, or they're starting at new colleges, and some of them are going off to university in the next few weeks. And I want to wish you all the very best of luck, whatever you're studying, whatever you're doing. And always remember this: whatever you're doing in life, it should be about what you want to do. So do not feel pressured by anybody else, even by your parents. Your life is your life, and it should be your choice. So do it, fulfill your dreams and nobody else's, and enjoy, and best of luck with everything.